to everybody. Greetings and welcome to my webinar. I want to thank everybody for coming out. This is going to be exciting. We're going to do some topics here that maybe you've never heard of, or maybe you have, but we have some methodology here that's going to help you in your business dealing with business technology. This is to set you on the track to basically remain relevant in the emerging IT industry without being taken, to the cleaners on a lot of different vendors that you're going to come to or see, and a lot of different technologies, and just understanding whether or not they're going to give you that leverage in your business that you need. And so this webinar is titled 5 Critical Steps to your business IT, to take your business IT to the next level and stay safe without going broke or being confused or frustrated. So this is the main purpose, of IT, is to really keep you from being ticked off. But a lot of people I know in IT, they're ready to throw their computers on the street or their printer on the street. It's not very fun. And so we're going to try to keep it fun and turn it into more of a learning experience, like a human learning experience, because that's really what I'm focusing on, to kind of get you to understand how to deal with IT. Like you take your car, you take your car to the auto mechanic, and you don't know if the auto mechanic is going to tell you you've got one thing wrong or 100 things wrong, because you don't know what his agenda is, and you don't know what his expertise is even. And so my aim is to be completely honest, and I hope you can see that by what we will discuss, is to be completely honest with you and give you the total rundown of what to expect when you're dealing with IT vendors and dealing with a lot of the new technology that we're going to see coming in the future. We're going to hit on a little bit of the cloud, which I like to call the data center. To me, just technically, it makes more sense, because that's really what it is. It's not a cloud. It's not up somewhere in the sky. It's not like a big city in in the sky somewhere. We haven't got that advanced yet. So it's actually a data center, where we're going to talk about the data center services in the data center, or we're going to talk about some other technologies that are emerging. But primarily, we're going to be talking about is how to save that money, how to stay informed, how to, if you're looking to upgrade, or even if you're not looking to upgrade, if you just want to know just how to deal with all this stuff in the future when you're dealing with your current vendor. If maybe if they haven't explained it to you, you can get a deeper understanding of some of the methodologies and things like that when dealing with IT in your business. So who is this for? We focus this webinar primarily for any professional that owns their computer network. That means you own the routers, you own the switch, you own you own all the equipment that runs your network, you own your own computers. You're not like McDonald's, where you have like a third party come and do everything, and you don't have any control over that, or some type of corporate entity that oftentimes contracts completely out to another entity, which most means basically they don't have any control over that. So we are focusing this on people who deal with a lot of different vendors to keep their business running, to keep everything running. So I would say just as a maybe broadly, maybe like medical professionals, lawyers who own their own practices, finance, retail, chain owners and things like that, advisors, nonprofit owners and things like that, and any professional, like I say, that has any number of employees that they're supporting with technology. And so we really want to understand, like, are we doing everything we need to keep our business on track for the future as far as IT goes? Are you able to keep up with the different technologies, the different methodologies, the new dictionary terms and everything like that? Are we able to keep our business safe from the security threats that are emerging? We just had the release of Verizon 2017 report. I haven't had a chance to look at it. I looked thoroughly at the 2016 one, and there's a lot of things that businesses need to be looking at, even if they're compliant. A lot of times I've spoken with several professionals in the industry, and they say, well, I'm already compliant, so I don't need to worry about security, or I don't need to worry about this thing or that thing. Or compliance is mainly concerned with making sure you're doing what's right as far as the industry, whether it's HIPAA, or whether there's a lot of different obviously compliances out there, but primarily my focus when it comes to, I'm just going to give you a quick breakdown of how I look at compliance. It's something that you need to have most of the time, but it's something that always needs to be looked at. And whenever you get new technologies, you have to take on a look at compliance. And a lot of times compliance that doesn't make you safe. If you think about the Target, that's the only one I'm going to say in public, is because it's in the news. If you think about Target and some of these big, corporations that have been hit, if you do your research, you'll see that a lot of them were compliant before they got hit. So compliance is not going to save you from any, threats that are out there. And also, compliance doesn't focus on technology. And you may want new technology, you may want this, and you may want that, but you're going to have difficulty sometimes bringing in that new technology and maintaining compliance. Of course, we do have a lot of vendors out there now that are actually implementing that and tying that into their product so that it's easier, and that's the best way. I would highly encourage a business, if they can get a product that actually has compliance capabilities tuned into it, that would save a lot of time, a lot of money, and it can be beneficial. I'll say, so another issue is confusing upgrade processes. Do you really know where you're going as far as the upgrade process goes? We kind of just covered that, but do you really understand what needs to be, what technologies are out there that could make things better? A lot of what I've seen is a lot of my customers don't know exactly what technologies are even available. They have a lot of frustrations, and they can't connect the technological solutions that have emerged with their problems. And so a lot of times they just live with the problem, and they say, okay, we've been doing it this way for 10, 15 years or 5 years, and we're just this is what we know. And so this is another shout out to those people. If you really want to know how to advance your business and get that leg up on that technology and get those kind of humps out of your business, then you really want to watch this, because this is for you. And we're going to go into these steps, but first I want to let you know who I am. First of all, my name is Rashad Ibn Abdul Azim. I'm a Air Force veteran. I was in the military. I served in overseas in the U.S. as a systems controller. I dealt a lot with IT, a lot of information technology. It was a lot of the wide area networks controlled by the military. I did a lot of node side coordination, so I dealt with a lot of different people from a lot of different places. I dealt with the security, I dealt with the operations, I dealt with different vendors, and a lot of things that are relevant to today. A lot has changed since then. I'm still in IT now. I have my own company at TechKinetics. I do network security, but I also do consulting to small to medium businesses that are interested in advancing their companies into the future. So, long story short, let's get started. All right. The first 5 steps we're going to get into, and the first one, which is one of my favorite ones, is business optimization. This is the fun one to me because it involves people, and I love people. So we're getting everybody together, and we're discussing in our business what's most important for our business. And this is the step that I think most people don't do, and it's the most critical one. Is basically gathering information, getting all the people together. And this is mainly data centric, what makes my business function? What are the processes that the business performs that brings in the bread, that really makes it go, that brings life to the business? Is it a system? Is it a particular way you deliver service to your customer? Is it how you speak to your customer? Is it an information store that you use? Is it a methodology? Is it a marketing scheme? Is it an application that sits? Is it and if it is, how does that inform your vision? And then this first step is really what's the greatest vision of your business? What are you really trying to do? Because technology now has actually enabled us to advance what our vision is in more detail. A long time ago, you might have a vision, but you may not be able to realize it because the technology wasn't available. Now we're seeing that if you have the vision, a lot of that technology is actually there to bring that vision into the forefront. So it's going to be a process that your business performs, cycles of operation, things that go on, sales and things like that, customer relations, all these different things that we deal with, day to day, or that we may have big ideas, and that we want to bring those ideas into the business, and we want to make it a process. We want to make it a core aspect of everything that we're doing. Then we need to have an idea of what that will look like. So that could be also organizations and people, how you integrate with other organizations. If you're a nonprofit, you may deal with the public school system, and you may have a methodology of dealing with them. You may need to send them documents. You may need to have projects, and those projects may need to be in a certain format and look a certain way, and you want to be able to streamline that. Maybe you need to send them reports every week, or maybe you need to send reports every month. But either way, you've got something there, and that's critical to your business, and you may not be utilizing technology to get that stuff done. So that's another example. Company culture. Like, what about your company culture? Employees, what do they have access to in the workspace? What makes them tick? Say they are engineers or developers or just advisors or something like that, and you want them to have access to technology, or you want to have a certain feeling in the workplace, certain freedoms or certain restrictions. And so this is the first step. Part of this first step I'm talking about is that you want to have ability to accommodate that culture, because a lot of times that culture can influence your employees, and believe it or not, I'm sure you know, those employees make your business. If you have good and happy employees, which is I hope we all strive for, then you're going to want to focus on how is technology addressing that company culture, and how is it preserving the company culture that's in your vision that you want to see. Workflows and outputs. How does that affect your workflow and output? How is your what do you want your workflow and output to be? And how does technology go into that? And so the next step is logical assessment. This is just, now that we've done all that, we've kind of got a vision, we kind of got an idea of what really makes our business tick, what the core competencies are. Then we're going to start looking at the logic. This step is kind of like a logical assessment. This is where I'm a network security professional. I might do a security assessment, but someone else who's doing and I also do this, just basic. What is the logic that supports the vision of the business? And this is anyone who's going to deal with you in the future, any vendor. And this is, of course, like I said, what I do is try to get a great understanding of how that vision meets the logic of what we do day to day. And I know that sounds kind of confusing, but it's a very important step. And so basically it's like, is the vision that we made, that we agreed to, how is it being provided for? Like, what's the food for the vision? That's really, if you want to simplify, that's what the second step is about. I've got this vision of what I want my company to be. What is the food for that vision? Like, what does it need? Like, how are we going to think about it? How are we going to maintain it? And what aspects of it are being looked at day to day? Like, is it actually being influenced by is top management taking a look at it? So that's what we're really getting into. Is top management even looking at it? Is what type of systems do we need? And this is kind of like what type of logical frameworks do we need? Like, say, back to the school example where we have the nonprofit organization that helps out with that sends information to the public school system, and say they want to be able to send these project leads or ideas over to them, show them what they can do for their students or whatever. Okay, so that's what they want to do. They know that they need this system to do it. Okay, but is there another way they could do that? Is there another layer to that? Are they going to need information? And where's that information coming from that's going to bring that logic to the project? Say maybe it's coming from a person, maybe it's coming from a system, maybe it's coming from an outside vendor. And once that information comes in, how is it handled? How is it moved? Is it better if it's stored here or stored there? You see, does it work better if it's in this format or that format? You see what I'm saying? Is it being monitored for efficiency? Things like that. So this is a logical layer. You want to make sure that also, is it cost efficient? Is it saving time? Is it actually able to really work as far as the vision is concerned, or is it actually something that's going to burn out the vision eventually because it's too costly, or it doesn't work right, or the timetable on it is not efficient enough? You have a project, and instead of fulfilling it in 30 days like you want, it takes you 60 days because you didn't have everything you needed. So this is like a logical look at all those certain integrations. And so that's the second step. It's just to have that logical assessment, figure out also what's most important when you're looking at is cost more important, or is function more important, or is security more important? Sometimes a lot of times, we don't think about that. Like, when it gets down to the grain and you just want to make a quick decision, knowing this will help save a lot of time, a lot of headache. What's more important? Cost. For me, the cost is more important, then you're going to go with this. And you're going to work out and deal with the difficulties later. If function is more important, you're going to, I'm not really worried too much about the cost. I really want it to function this way. And also you're more security centric, maybe government, or just depending on what you do, maybe security is more important, and I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of cost and a little bit of function to maintain security. So finding out what's better for you here is a logical step. So that's the second step. The third step is technology systems, like the technology systems that are going to support all of that. That's the databases. That's the actual hardware. You see what I'm saying? This is the actual hardware. Now we're taking from all this pie in the sky stuff. We're talking about big ideas at first and second step. We're talking about a lot of things that are not really on the ground that you can see. But this third step is basically technology, the physical technology. A lot of times this is hardware, software, apps, development. Now, what technology can we use to integrate into this logical framework that we've made, kind of give the bones to the body here? You see, what do we actually need? Are we going to need a server with, maybe a MongoDB server or MySQL or whatever? Maybe we need just a web app to accommodate this. And maybe we want our employees to be able to jot down ideas really quickly, so we may need this app. Maybe we want them to have a little bit of access from home. Maybe we want them to have mobile access. Maybe they want to work from home sometimes. So what technology is going to allow that? What technology is going to be in place? Determining basically how that logical representation can be realized through systems. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. How the logical representation can be realized through the acquisition of systems and applications. So this is the third step. Confirm also in this step, are they actually performing that role? This is what's good for everybody. So like, even if you have, I already got all this stuff, I don't care about all this stuff, I've already got it. Well, are you actually, you'd be surprised how many people, are the systems in place actually performing the role that the vision that you originally had? Are they actually performing the role for the vision that you originally had? If they're not, then you take another look at the technology or another look at your vision and say, well, maybe my vision was a little unrealistic, or maybe I would say, hey, this is realistic. This is a realistic vision. I want to see it come through. Why aren't my systems accommodating that? And maybe if you look at everything, you may not have to make any new purchases. A lot of times people say, well, I need this and I need that. Well, maybe you have the things in place already to bring that logical vision into fruition, but you just haven't utilized the systems that you have in place. So, and maybe they're outdated. Maybe the systems are outdated. Maybe you have technology that just can't accommodate what your business is trying to do. And you need to take another look at that and evaluate, of course, the cost and everything that we were talking about before. What are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to just stick with the old equipment? Are you willing to upgrade? And if you are, what's more important? What's going to be the real sticking point for you? So again, just knowing that, what cost, function, or security are none of their variables, what's more important for you. But at this stage, we can also start looking at cloud on-site hybrid type solutions. We also have converged. I promised myself and that I would not, try to keep these terms as simple as possible, because this is just for anyone who I want to make this as simple as possible. So, cloud, basically data center. Like if you want your stuff stored in a data center somewhere, you don't want to have to worry about it. You want somebody else to maintain it. Somebody else maintains the security. Somebody else maintains the storage. Somebody else maintains all the updates. A lot of times you think about that, you got to think, well, you may also be compromising if you want to move. Maybe you want to move from that cloud vendor to another vendor. If you move from that vendor to another vendor, then you may lose access to that information. It'll be really hard to transfer that data to another vendor. So that's something you want to look at. So maybe on-site is good, or maybe hybrid is good. Maybe you want some of your information stored in the data center, and maybe you want some of your information stored locally, so you can keep working if everything goes down. So this is another, in this step, we're going to be looking to see, well, what's going to work best for me, and also cost. A lot of times, cost can be eliminated by having on-site. What I've seen, I'm just going to be honest. I think a lot of these, because the data center, cloud is so big now. A lot of people are scaring. A lot of technology guys are scaring the people and saying, well, if you got it stored locally, it's more safer, if you have it, in the cloud, which can be true. But you have to also look and trying to look, well, is a hybrid solution good? Can I have some of this data stored in the cloud, and can I store some of this data safely with me, and just have all the tools and the expertise in place to keep everything safe, to keep everything up to date? And you may see if you can leverage virtual machines, which is basically a machine that's been virtualized, has been extracted from the hardware layer into the software layer. And you can maybe utilize that in your business, virtual machines, to kind of back up, the cloud solutions. And I've noticed a lot of businesses have not taken full advantage of virtualization. And since virtualization has taken off even further now, where containers are now being used in a lot of these hyper-converged networks, proprietary systems that are coming out now. EMC Squared is a really good one. They have one of the best kind of type hyper-converged solutions where it's like everything in one stack. So you can implement your virtual machines, you can implement your containers. All you really need is a good DevOps team. It's very good, it's very simple, it's very secure, it's cutting edge, bleeding edge. Well, I would say cutting edge, not bleeding edge. It's cutting edge. It's been in place for a long time and it works well. So basically, you're going to be looking at all these things and seeing, can they provide me what I need? And a lot of, like the hyperconverged I was just speaking about, seeks to provide everything. That's why it says converge. Just like literally taking everything in your business and taking the whole entire infrastructure and putting it on one machine, but it's stackable. I mean, it's a grid based, so you can have backup. Is going to be easy because you're going to have at least 3 or 4 devices in there that are going to give you that redundancy. If there's a security issue, if something gets compromised, or if disaster recovery becomes absolutely necessary, it's very easy to recover. It's almost seamless. You won't even notice a bump a lot of the times. And so basically, these are the technologies that you're going to want to look at this stage. Don't want to get too carried away in this, but this is the step that becomes critical. But if you do the first 2 steps and you finish up with the last step, then you'll really be if you finish up with the last 2 steps, then you'll be really ready to go. Yeah, my math isn't the best, right? So another issue on the technology stage: what's the business impact before you bring in new technology? Okay. This is something to think about as far as what's the impact if you bring in new technology. How is it going to disrupt your business? Is it going to how long is it going to set you back? And when you think about getting new technology, how is it going to integrate with your current processes? And sometimes it's good to do a test, to just test it out instead of jumping in all the way in. So some of the best vendors are the ones that can give you a test and kind of give you an idea what it's going to be like. So before you make that decision, that's one thing we specialize in, is trying to bring the customer all the ideas. We have our own products, but we try to get them. The most important thing is to be a companion to that customer. It's to try to bring them the best solutions. If it's not my solution, then it's someone else's. We're not afraid to bring that information in. So the best vendors are the ones that can tell you, hey, let's try this out. Let's kind of have a test, kind of like a lab area for you in your environment, and see, how does this work? How does this integrate? Is it worth the cost? Is security and confidentiality and stability maintained? And what's the implementation and timetable on it? Am I going to have to hire a dev team or a team to come in and kind of build these systems for me? If you need to do that, then all these things need to be figured out early on, so you can eliminate a lot of the costs and a lot of the time wasting and a lot of the headaches. And so that's another step. So the 4th step is roadmap. Okay, obviously this is just almost similar to what I talked to before, the timetable to implement the systems. How long is it going to take to implement these systems? Is it cost effective over a long period of time? A lot of times it's cost effective in the interim, like immediately. It's cost effective to maybe just buy a phone system or some other storage system, but then in the long run, maybe it's not, because you have to go back and you have problems with it. You have to change out hard drives. You have to do old IT stuff, really. Maybe a cloud storage solution is better. It was cheaper now, but further on down the road, it's not. It costs more time and headache than you ever wanted to think about. So you want to take a look at that, and sometimes have a balance between time and ability. And so when you're dealing with the technology, say, well, I can implement this over time, maybe not immediately, but I can gradually integrate it, set certain days throughout the week and the month, and slowly integrate this technology into my business and get that long term, just depending on your size, just to get that benefit, and of course to do that testing also to make sure that you're going to get the complete benefit of the technology that you've acquired. So measure the effectiveness of all that by using this step, by basically saying, look, I've looked at all the business, what's important for my business, what really is good for my business, what my vision is. I've incorporated now all of the logic that's really going to support that vision now. What type of logical systems are needed to support that? And then the technology now is going to take that logic for me. It's going to put it in a format that I can now use to integrate it with the rest of the world. Okay, so now on to the fifth step. This is the most exciting. This is the one I really like. This is going to be your metrics. This is actually going back and measuring the effectiveness of everything that we've done. This is kind of like the cleaning stage. This is the fun part. Well, it sounds boring, metrics, but this is the best part of the whole presentation. Okay, measure the effectiveness of everything that we've done. If you read, it's a good book. It's called The Seven. I'm sure most of you have read it. The Seven Steps of Highly Successful People, and he's got the 7 steps that the author brings forward. Is the last and final step is this step. Is going back over everything and making sure that you're actually doing all those things that you committed to in the beginning. If you're able to do all of that, then you're going to start measuring and making sure that all these things are actually in the life cycle of everything that you do in your business. So you're going to be measuring the effectiveness of the original vision. Avoid being bored with this step. Really, just get people together and talk. Get your employees together. Get your management involved. Really get some of your employees, some of your lower level employees, and see how effective is your technology for them. Get management together. It can be monthly. It can be bi-monthly. It can be at least once every 6 months, and just sit down and say, this is our vision. This was our logic. This was all the systems that we developed. How effective is it? And how is it working? So avoid doing too much here, but just make it regular. Do it regularly. Start fine-tuning everything. Be consistent. Start fine-tuning everything. Be consistent, and also last and finally, use automation. Eventually, you can kind of set up automatic tools to kind of go in and measure this stuff for you. And as you go back and look at everything, you're going to realize how this is going to benefit your long-term growth for your business. It's really going to take you off. It's really going to launch your business off if you do it right, if you stick to it, and you bring these people together, and or just bring these systems together and allow that constant eye to be on it. Because what it gets monitored gets managed. That's the paradigm here. What gets monitored gets managed. If you're not monitoring it, or if you're monitoring it, sometimes you don't have no way of dealing with it. You're not getting the people together. Then you should. This is the fun part and the human part of a business, and it will even make your actual business better just to have that kind of roundtable with people every once in a while to get to see is everything being fulfilled. So just think, what if you never did this? Like all these steps, if you're doing it already, it's good. But what if you've never done this in your business? Like, could you imagine the impact if you just took these 5 critical, simple steps and just maybe take an hour max out of your busy schedule to sit down and do these things? It would be it's critically important to learn how to do that. We at Tech Kinetics, we strive to help organizations get through these steps. So if you give us a call, we can get you the plan, kind of sit with you, kind of help you through it. We look at ourselves not as someone just to come in and come out and then get a check. We look at the customer like they're part of a family, and we all really are part of a family in this integrated world anyway. So it's good for us to see and help business thrive to get to these high levels of operation, or high levels of influence, because at the end of the day, everyone will be happier. So we seek to integrate with you and help you with that. We also do assessments. We look forward to hearing from you. And if you do give us a call, be ready to have a solid action plan. We're going to try to get you a solid action plan within at least 4 weeks, so we can sit down and hammer this stuff out. We'll help coach you through it, and we'll get you on track. And we'll, even if you're already kind of on track and you just need a little bit of help, we're more than willing to help you with that as well. So give us a call and reach out to us by email. There's also been a couple questions that I've been asked in the past that I kind of want to cover on here. One of the major questions, and you can feel free to send me any questions at any time, is techkinetics.com. And you can feel free to send me or schedule an appointment with me on there or with one of my employees, and we can actually just sit down and actually have just a talk. If you want to just talk and just see where you are without getting into anything, that's fine. No money changes hands. We just sit down and talk and just see where you're at. And we offer also a free assessment, just kind of a broad assessment for certain organizations and certain positions. So just give us a call and give us a shout out and see what we can do. And so basically, one of the first questions I had, since it's not a live webinar, I'm going to try to get the questions out, but feel free to send me questions, of course. You can just hit me up on my website. My email's on there, support@techkinetics.com, by the way. It's support@techkinetics.com. But the questions that I've had are, look, how do I deal with upper management when it comes to upgrades and all of this new technology? And a lot of times procurement is not in my hands. What I've advised organizations to do is to basically be proactive about it and stay positive about it first, of course, but then have a plan in place and show them the pitfalls, show them where time, money, and headache and everything is relevant, and show them the effectiveness of it, and use kind of like of course a systematic approach similar to the one that I've laid out in this webinar. Show them how the vision of the business can be met through these upgrades and how it's not being met without them, or vice versa. And so that's critical to us in that position, to those of us who are in that position. And if they don't listen, just stay on it, and then after that, you've done your job. The next question I've had is how effective can these technology systems really be as far as the 20th century is concerned? A lot of times there's a lot of hype behind different technologies, and how do you deal with the hype? And obviously that's what this whole webinar is about. But even still with that, that was also asked, addressed further up in the webinar. It's just basically to do testing. It's really good to have, if you already have an IT team, to just let them isolate a lot of these technologies in a lab environment and just see how well they integrate with the current technologies that you're using. I believe that's it. If there's any other questions, feel free to shout out. Again, that's techkinetics.com. It's techkinetics.com. And I want to reiterate, what if you never do it? What if you just never do it and you sit there and you deal with that headache in your business? If you're really ready to get on board, to really start getting some of these things hammered out, give us a call. And we're going to be serious about it. We're going to really be on you about it. We like to think of ourselves as coaches as well, because it's really what it takes. You have to really have someone there that can help you focus in on honing those things, and we'll help you do that. So if you're interested in just sitting down, giving us a call, just give us a call. Well, it's not to sell you anything. We'll just sit down and we'll talk to you, and we'll see where we go from there. All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining me.